Okay, this question, next one, is regarding destiny, like Brother Bilal has mentioned. If nothing will happen to you that was not written for you, the writer asks, then where is free will? And if a girl does get raped, does it mean that the rapist was merely carrying out what is willed, and it is therefore not guilty?
Well, it is well known that one cannot justify evil with destiny. The fact that everything has been written, alhamdulillah, the fact that everything has been written, that writing is an expression of Allah's omniscience, God's complete knowledge. Because if God doesn't know what is going to happen in this world, the world that He created, then it's not a true God. The true God knows everything that is going to happen, everything that was and everything that would ever be. That is God. The writing is only a facet of an expression or a manifestation of the completeness of Allah's knowledge. So what is written there is whatever you do. Not that Allah made you do what you did, but that whatever you chose to do, whatever you by your free will decided to do, has been written. And when one individual tried to use qadr as a means of defending his evil, he had stolen, and Umar ibn al-Khattab had ordered that his hand be cut off, and the man argued, are you going to cut off my hand when God wrote that my hand would be cut off? It is my destiny to, my destiny to steal. And Omar said, fine, yes, it was your destiny to steal, and it is my destiny to cut off your hand. You see, so we cannot use qadr or the destiny to justify evil. We know practically when we have to decide to do something, we can do something good or we can do something evil. The same way we can do something evil and say, it's my destiny. We could have done something good and say, it's my destiny. So we cannot say that the rapist is not at fault for raping. No. He is a criminal, and that's why according to Islamic law, if he has committed rape, especially using weapons, he is executed. Islam deals very severely with rapists. At the same time, it says that whatever takes place was already written.
Okay, the next question is regarding a question on society. The writer would like Brother Bilal to explain the status of both sexes, the level of equality between the two.
That is a lecture in and of itself. But we have a verse from the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنثَى, that the male is not like the female. He has made it clear. The male and the female are not the same. They may be complementary, yes, complementary, but not equal. Together, they work together. What strengths and weaknesses each one has supports the other. But Allah has created men in a role of being the providers, the maintainers, and the protectors of women. الرجال قوامون على النساء. The male are in a position of authority over the women. Authority for their protection, not authority to oppress them. Not authority to oppress them. Islam does not invite oppression. It is for their protection. Because the woman in her natural and normal state, she goes through periods of need of protection. In the case of pregnancy, she needs somebody to look after her, to take care of her, etc. That the male was there, that is his responsibility. Her responsibility is to look after the children. I mean, it's a big responsibility to look after children. Today, as a result of the feminist movement, looking after children means not being fulfilled. You know, I hear, young people today in the modernist feminist view is, a woman is not fulfilled unless she's out working in the workplace and, doing her job, and, this being at home is boring, and, this is the way it is looked at. But this is a very distorted view of the family. And when that view becomes prevalent, then the structure, the foundation of the society crumbles. And that's what's happening in America today. The foundation of the society, the family structure is breaking down. More than 50% of marriages within the first 3 years end in divorce. Why? Because men and women look at themselves as equal to a man. Her decision is like his decision. If she doesn't want, he wants it. No one can decide, so the only way is to end it. In fact, in American law, Western law now, you have a crime known as rape in marriage. A man is now put in jail for raping his wife. This is ludicrous. It is insanity. And that is the foundation for the breakup of the society. The husband has a responsibility in the Islamic scheme of things. The husband has that responsibility to look after the wife. He has a responsibility to look after his children. He look after his mother, his parents, his sisters. So what happens is that the female, no matter what position she is in society, as a child, as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife, as a mother, always there are males who are responsible for her to ensure that she lives a decent, comfortable life. It doesn't mean that she cannot contribute to society. She has certain knowledge, certain skills, certain areas she can benefit society. It doesn't mean she has no role in the society. Of course not. There are areas which women contribute and benefit the society and are needed in the society. But what is harmful is where a man, a woman, and man looked at as being equal, so the woman feels now she must compete with the man in each and everything. She has to be out there driving tanks and flying F-16s and, digging ditches and working caterpillars and, I mean, what is this proving, really? These women, in these jobs, in these positions, when you see what happens to them, the men are around them and they molest them. They're touching, they're squeezing, they're holding, they're, whistling and talking. And so the life is hell for the women in these positions. Though they might think it's very wonderful, she's flying an F-16. But see what happens when she's hanging out with the guys. She gets it left and right. How many people are now being, put up on trial for, raping military personnel because they're in a position of, the position of sergeants or whatever positions above them. So it is not to the advantage of the woman to be out in the marketplace competing with the man. She has a role in the areas which will benefit the society where there is a need for her. Otherwise, if the man's main role is providing and maintaining, then he should be given the opportunity to do so. Because if a woman takes a man's job away, then he now is unable to look after his responsibility. Of course, in a society where they have already decided that men and women get out on their own and they have to take care of themselves, then it might seem kind of strange. But the principle in Islamic law is based on the normal society. The society where men and women are out competing, pushed out of their homes when they reach the age of 15, 16, 17, this is abnormal. This is not a norm. And this is a dangerous and destructive trend. So the family, which used to be an extended family with uncles, aunts, and everybody, grandfather, everybody there, now is broken down to just the nuclear family. The man, his wife, his kid. And now we even have single-parent families as a norm, for example, in America. Single-parent families, the idea of one parent, a man and his children, a woman and her children, as a norm. Not an exception, but a norm. This is part of the breakdown of society.
This writer agrees that God creates human, but if Brother Bilal can comment on people who say that human can create humans through cloning.
Well, the issue of cloning, again, when human beings say, they're able to make life in a test tube, petri dish or whatever, what are they doing? Are they really making life? If you take a human being, he's made up of calcium and some carbon and some, hydrogen and oxygen. Now, if we take all these things as chemicals, we buy them from a chemical shop, and we mix them all up together. Can we mix it all up together and pop out a human being from that? No. We can't do it. Always we are making life from life. So we're only manipulating. We're manipulating life. We're not creating life. As Allah says in the Quran, if all of the human beings on the earth got together, they wouldn't even be able to create a fly. Something which you consider so despicable, you knock it away, you swat it, you kill it, it's horrible, the horrible fly, but we can't even make a fly. Never will we be able to make a fly. So cloning, this is only manipulation of genes, putting chromosomes from one egg, from one cell into another cell, and it's still going through the normal processes of development. So we don't look at cloning as being anything abnormal. From an Islamic perspective, where cloning is used to improve the quality of our wheat, of the animals, etc., no problem. But where cloning becomes something where people are seeking immortality, and there's an element amongst those involved in cloning where the idea is immortality. They want to live forever. So they figure now, okay, we developed this thing well enough. Now, when you get old and you're about to die, they can take a few cells from your body, grow another little you, and then just, because they think, well, either they can take your brain out and put it in the new one, but then they say, well, the brains, they get, when they get old, the brain cells don't renew themselves, so we don't need this old brain anymore. Okay, well, what are we? We are the thoughts in our brain, right? So all we need to do is to plug our heads into a computer. We download ourselves into the computer. Then we plug that into the new you and just download it back in. You can get up and keep walking. Let the old body go. This is the idea. Or, you grow this new body for body parts. When your heart starts to go, okay, you take the heart out, you put it in. You need a lung or whatever body parts. But the point is, from an Islamic perspective, you cannot do this. That human being, if human beings manage to grow another human being from the same human being, that is not you. That's no longer you. You are you. That human being that a soul has entered into is a different human being. Just like the egg cell which divides and produces twins, though they are alike in all respects that you can imagine, they're not the same. They're two different human beings. So cloning can never be the basis for trying to prolong life. Can never be. Unless it comes in the form of some of the experiments they're doing now, where they're putting some cells in animals, so an animal may grow an ear or grow some organ or limb that the human being needs, and they may take it from that animal and use it. Something like that is, if they manage to succeed with it, then it is something acceptable, because Allah has created this creation for us to utilize. Where it is beneficial for us, we do so, without intending harm to others or other members of the society.
The next question is regarding the point that religion is genetic, and the question is, why are there still humans who are ignorant about the existence of God?
There are no humans who are ignorant about the existence of God. They may deny God's existence, they may reject God's existence, but as Allah says, they reject it, وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهُ أَنفُسَهُمْ, and they know it inside of themselves. It's there. They know it. As Allah said in Surah Al-A'raf, when He created Adam, He took from Adam all of his descendants, and He made them bear witness that He was their Lord. Alastu bi rabbikum? They said, Bala shahidna. They said yes. They all bore witness. Every human being has within himself or herself a consciousness and awareness of God. And that's real. You take the biggest disbeliever, the biggest atheist. If he ends up on an airplane and the airplane is going down, he sees the engine fly off, the wing is falling, what does he do? Oh God, oh God. Somewhere it came out of himself. He wasn't saying God all along, never, God, foolish. But when he reaches that state, God, 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 he's screaming God. It's there. Every individual knows it.
The writer here says, would not respect for women and protection of women be better taught through educating the men?
Well, protection of women, you see, and educating men. You see, this is the feminist approach, right? When we talk with the feminists in North America, right? She's coming out with her makeup or eyelashes or mini skirt and everything. She says, why should I have to cover myself? We need to teach these men. They're the one who need to be controlled and they're the one who should be punished, but I should be able to do what I want to do. But wait, this thing has got two sides to it. You see, because God has created an attraction between males and females. The more that a woman exposes of herself, the more the male is attracted. So then when you put up, a big signboard which says, look at me. Big sign, look at me. And then at the same time you're saying, don't touch. But don't touch. You see, it's contradictory. It's contradictory. And no matter how much you educate men, you see, this comes down now to a society which sells its products through women, where it's not only the woman exposing herself, but everything that they have to sell, a woman is used. You want to sell a Mustang, right? Instead of them putting and explaining how fast the Mustang will go between 0 and 100, they can do it in so many seconds, how big the engine is, how wide the wheels are. What do? They put a Mustang with a lady lying on top in a bikini. They want to sell a razor blade. Instead of telling you we've got the latest, minerals or metal to make this super sharp, it's not going to get dull, whatever. No, what they do, they have the man shaving. They have a woman's hand. You see the long nail holding his hand. So in a society like this, to talk about educating the men is nonsensical. It's nonsensical. It is a system that has to be addressed in all of its aspects. The men are educated, of course they should be educated, and that's why the law is very severe. But on the other hand, the women also have to be covered in such a way that they're not inviting attack. And the media has to be censored so that they're not provoking and encouraging a high level of sexuality in the society. All of that has to work together for that system to work, to protect the woman, to control the desires of the male, etc., etc.
And the writer would like Brother Bilal to share with us on the best way we can introduce Islam to a non-believer.
This question is actually one which doesn't have an answer. There is no one best way. People are looking for some magical formula. You just have to say these two words and they become Muslim. No. It doesn't work like that. In giving da'wah, in conveying Islam to others, we have to treat them like a doctor treats his patient. He doesn't have a set of medicines. As soon as you come in, he says, take these medicines. No. He has to find out what your sickness is. After he knows what your sickness is, then he prescribes the medicine which is suitable for your sickness. Similarly, when giving da'wah, one has to know the background of the person that you're dealing with. What is the area that they are confused about? What is the area that, that they're lacking in, that you can give them the knowledge which will help them reach the point of accepting the one true God, Allah, in their lives. I mean, that is your focus. Your focus is that they should recognize that God is one and He alone deserves our worship. And after that, to understand that Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, was the last of the messengers. But before that, you have to let that person, he or she, understand that God sent a message, why it was necessary, why it is logical that God communicated His word to human beings, etc. After they've grasped that, could understand it, then you can come in to explain about the messenger and the message, step by step. But it will vary from person to person. You may come to some people, they already believe in God. So then you don't need to go to convince them to believe in God. But the question is, who is God? How do they believe in God? Maybe their concept of God is distorted. You need to find where the distortions are and try to correct them. So the methodology, as I said, the approach is like that of a doctor. You have to see where the illness lies, where the sickness is, and you try to treat it with the appropriate medicine.
Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa nasrina lisana la ghus illa alladziina amanu wa amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Amin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.